everyone! Today was actual diarrhea. It was so bad. And now that you're here for that great uplifting content, let's talk about what I've read. In my last vlog, I was talking about how I was in the middle of a new adult book called Trade Me by Courtney Milan, which is a book about a daughter of Chinese immigrants, and she's going through college with very little money, sending whatever she makes back to her family. One day in one of her classes, her classmate makes an ignorant comment about food stamps, and she gets into an argument with him and says the statement, "You would not last one day in my shoes." He decides that he would like to see what it's like to try and live her life, so they trade places for a little bit, and the book is all about how they learn about each other's lives and undo some of the prejudices they have in their heads. And then it develops into a romance, obviously. The premise of this book only exists for like the first half of the book, and then it just goes off into Neverland and turns into something completely different. I like the idea of them switching places, but very quickly you realize the book is definitely more angled toward the male point of view. It was so sloppily done. I honestly can't even put into words because there's so many small things that just don't add up. Talking about them all individually would just make no sense to anyone who hasn't read it. But the only way I can describe it is just it went off a cliff with where the plot was going. There were random plot twists that didn't add anything to the story except shock value, and they weren't even well written. I just was not wowed by this at all. The characters' dialogue began to get really cheesy and I skipped over that. The writing itself wasn't very memorable. I usually have a baseline of giving 3 stars to romance books that I think were okay but like nothing special, but this one just really dragged the last half because so many things went into the gutter that I gave it 2 stars. I really wanted to love it because the representation was awesome with the Chinese main character and male character with eating disorders. There's a side character who's trans. I loved all that inclusivity, but the plot just did not deliver and was not what was described in the synopsis. There is a sequel to this, however, that's about the trans character, and I really would love to read more about her, so I think I'm gonna pick that one up and see if it's better. I'm also currently in the middle of the Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. The thing that sucks about this book is it's good. Like, I love the plot and I can see how it's already starting to turn gears and come full circle, but for the writing style and the content, it does not justify being as long as it is. Probably like 200 pages of this could be shaved off in editing. I have a lot of new adult books that I could try reading that I want to give a shot. Oh wait, I have Serena Bowen's book. I'm also going to read The Year We Fell Down by Serena Bowen, which is a new adult book that was recommended to me by an author whose book I love because it's so healthy. Easy by Tamara Weber. I've told this story before. And this is about hockey players, and that's all I know. Yesterday and today I've had car troubles. Yesterday I got pulled over for the first time. Today I almost died in a car accident. Didn't actually have the accident, it just was slippery and I'm an idiot. Warner would be proud. But I had a really eventful reading day today. Finished 2 books today, which I'm really proud of. The first book I actually started last night on audiobook, I Hate My Selfie by Shane Dawson, which I don't own. Thank God. And it's only like a 4-hour audiobook, so I just sped through it last night and this morning. Here's the issue. I love Shane Dawson's videos from this year. Back when he was super popular in like 2008 through 2014, I just couldn't stand him. He was so problematic and made so many gross jokes that I didn't want to watch it. But I really, really love his most recent video series, and so I wanted to pick up his books and see, do they give an explanation of his life? But I read this and was so disappointed. The amount of distasteful jokes that he makes every page is just astounding. He made like 3 rape jokes, he made incest jokes and bestiality jokes. It just was so uncomfortable. Most of the stories are embellished or he just flat out lies. The dialogue that he reads is just not realistic. So those 2 components just made it such a horrible reading experience. It felt like we were kept at arm's length and we never really got to get intimate with him because he would shed light on some detail of his life but then immediately make a fatphobic joke or make some sort of problematic comment. And now I'm dreading reading his second book because what if it's just as bad? I don't know how he's not ashamed of these books existing. The second book I read today, Being Jazz by Jennings. I picked this up whenever I was getting ready in the morning and commuting to work. It's only a 4-hour audiobook as well, so it was super quick. If you don't know Jennings, she had a TV show where she talked about being a transgender teen. She's famous for being a male to female transgender person person who transitioned at a very young age. And this book delves into how even back when she was preschool age and when she was first learning how to talk, she was trying to tell her parents that she wanted to grow up as a girl. And so her parents had to fight for her to have that and to be able to play sports and to use the bathrooms at school. And it talks about the issues she had growing up. Her mother is a psychologist, and so she recognizes the way Jazz was feeling was actual and it wasn't just a phase. And I think it was good how proactive she and her family were to secure those rights for her and to make sure she could transition and be her authentic self, which is what Jazz calls transitioning. And I love the message of normalizing that trans kids exist. But I've seen discussion about people criticizing that Jazz could be ignorant to people whose lives and experiences are different than hers. I'm not trans, so I don't want to delve into that too deeply. I'll just link a review down below that I saw that talked about that. Overall, I thought it was entertaining and it really shed light on the movement to have acceptance in the trans community. It made me cry like 4 times in the car. I was wiping tears just because it was really touching. And if you're looking for a book that'll delve into the life story of someone who has transitioned, I say go for it. I gave it 4 stars. I wanted to sit down by my TBR shelf so that I can talk to you about some stuff. So here's our situation with my shelf. I tried to section it off by genres, but I don't know how well that worked. There's classics right here, YA, literary fiction, non-fiction-y stuff, more essay-ish stuff, adult stuff, children's stuff, random stuff. My cousin walked in the room earlier as I was filming, so I didn't get to finish my thought there, but we'll continue. Believe it or not, since we last spoke, I finished 2 books. I'll talk about these briefly because I want to get to talking about my TBR. As I was sitting on the floor, I saw this on my shelf and I was like, oh, I want to read that, and I did. It's Everyone's an Alien When You're an Alien Too by Jomny Sun. This is a graphic novel all about an alien named Jomny who has to go to Earth and observe humans. This is the most wholesome book I have ever read in my entire life. I'm bringing this to college with me next semester and reading it when I get anxiety. It is so pure. It's all about the human experience and growth and living. It's beyond touching. I loved it. 5 stars. Amazing. Favorite of the year. Then I read Judy Moody, which I just recently hauled in my last video. This is a book that I think I read as a kid, but I don't quite remember. It's cute and fun, but Judy Moody was just so extra all the time. She's really mean to her brother. She's just sassy for no reason. If I were like 7, I'm sure I would love this, but as an adult, I'm just like, eh. So I gave it 3 stars. Continuing from yesterday, I think we were in the middle of talking about me getting rid of books because life is hard. I already have 2 books that I want to get rid of that I know for sure I'm not going to read. The first book I want to get rid of is Wondering Who You Are by Sonia Leah. Have you ever heard of it? No? Great. No one cares. Next book. The next book I'm getting rid of is one that I know I can give to a better home, so I'm just gonna do that. Wonder Woman. So I asked my friend Bonnie, who just recently read this, and I was like, hey, should I pick that up? She said it's not worth the read. I don't feel compelled to read it, so I'm gonna get rid of it. I'm gonna pull books off that I haven't read yet and I don't think I'll read, and you can tell me down below if I should just get rid of them, or Bonnie, who's currently on FaceTime, can tell me if I should get rid of them. I bought the Phantom Tollbooth because a lot of people said it was their favorite book as a kid, and then got 20 pages in and didn't care. This is kind of time-worthy. I'm currently reading The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, which is too thick to try and hold up, but it's over there. Speaking of thick books, I bought The Luminaries because Taha Mafi liked it, and I was like, ooh! I think this was also like in the short list for the Man Booker. Oh, never mind, it won. Wait, this is set in New Zealand. I'm reading it. Never mind, put it back on the shelf. I'm so easy to influence now. This one, Flick by Abigail Tartolin. This is another one I got off Book Outlet. I bought this immediately just because I liked that author and I don't even know what this book is about. I think I'm gonna have to unhaul this because I just don't care. This next book I got for my birthday from a friend, so I feel bad. But like, I need to try though, right? I don't know. The Bone Clocks by David Mitchell. I'm putting it in my pile of stuff to get rid of. I do not see myself ever reaching for it willingly. I have so many books that fall into the category of it sounds interesting, but it's not gonna be the first thing I grab. And like, do you keep those books? Let's have a discussion. Should I unplug your headphones and we can talk?
Before, like this year, yes. But this year I've been really harsh and I've been like, if I don't want to read you, you're gone. But anything that I'm just like recently, like I unhauled like Eleanor and Parks. I'm like, I don't want to read it. I don't care if everyone likes it. She's gone.
Amazonia by James Rollins. Like, no one has read this book except like one YouTuber who doesn't even booktube anymore.
Nah, she gotta go.
No, but like I started it and I was like, it's actually pretty good, but does it have to go?
Yes.
You know what? I'm not gonna, because the thing is, this is Why do I have this? I don't like sci-fi. I'm getting rid of it. You're like my magic conch right now, and I'm like, all hail Bonnie's opinion. Like half of the books I own fit in that category of I don't know anything about them, I just want to try them. Like Confessions of a Shopaholic. What? This is my attempt at delving into other genres, but then it just sits on my shelf for 3 years. Unpopular opinion, I think I'm gonna get rid of it. I don't feel bad about it. Like if I'm putting it in my get rid of pile and I don't feel bad about it, I think it's a sign that things are meant to be. This is an entire stack of nonfiction that I would not feel bad about getting rid of, but I still kind of want to keep. Because like there's this book about manthropology, which is about how, what, I forgot. You know what? Who cares? I'm getting rid of it. Same with the empathy exams. This could totally just be a TED talk that I can watch in 20 minutes instead of spend 8 hours reading. I have 2 books by David Sedaris. I don't know what they're about. I just hear he's good. Then I have this book of essays by George Watsky. I don't know what it's about. I don't know who George Watsky is. Why did I buy it, you ask? I dropped it. Lin-Manuel Miranda's name's on the cover, and that's 100% of the reason. See, I'm not even getting rid of any of them at this point. I'm just like justifying why I should keep them. This one's Before I Go by Colleen Oakley, which is a very strange name because it just makes me think of Colleen Ballinger and Tyler Oakley did something very wrong. I'm flipping through the pages and I don't care. I'm getting rid of it. I have so many classics that in the back of my head, I'm like, I have to read that. But in the front of my head, I'm like, you're not gonna read that, you idiot. For Christmas, I got this book that's literally just the Bible told in chronological order. I'm not even religious. If I get rid of this, my grandma's gonna show up and be like, I have a lot of classics I'm never gonna read, but we're not gonna confront that right now. Like, I have some arcs that I don't think I'll get to, specifically all of them. Okay, I have They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I feel compelled to read this because I've read 2 out of 3 of his books, but I hear this just isn't that good. I also have The Glass Sphere by Lauren De Stefano, which I have 100% because it's about a girl who touches stuff and it makes it turn to stone, and I'm like, that's Shatter Me, but different. Okay, that's about 10 books. I think I did well. My laptop's about to die, so I'm gonna get off the floor and go plug Bonnie in before she leaves me. Bonnie's like, I need water! I listened to Talking as Fast as I Can by Lauren Graham. I'm gonna be real with you, Chief, it wasn't amazing. I've read better celebrity memoirs because she could have focused on her life and all the cool things she's done, all the things she's been in. Instead, she just kind of went off on a rant about Hollywood, diets, and getting a boyfriend, and then a little bit about Gilmore Girls, and then a little bit about her backstory. So it was very eclectic. Bonnie, help me out. Not epileptic, eclectic. I love being an English major. It was okay. Parts of it felt very vapid, and there was even a part of her, I think, section on getting a boyfriend where she was like, in college I never had a boyfriend because I got the freshman 15 and no one wanted to date me. I was like, great to imply that fat people don't get dates. Love you too, Lauren. I gave that book 3 stars. It was okay if you like to go more girls. I haven't seen Parenthood, so I was like, who? On Scribd, I picked up an ebook that I was surprised they had. It's called The Year We Fell Down by Serena Bowen. This book is about a girl named Corey. It follows her first year at college. She was recently in a hockey accident that gave her a spinal cord injury, so she's in a wheelchair. So she lives in an accessible dorm room, and across the hall from her is another one of those rooms that has a guy living in it who has broken his entire leg, also from a hockey accident. So this book is about the 2 of them. Tamara Weber recommended it because it was good romance. We haven't gotten there yet, but I'm already like 70 pages into the 300 pages, and it's so bad. Every single page she refers to herself as a cripple or a gimp, which if you Google that word, it literally says an offensive or derogatory way to refer to someone who's disabled. Is this author own voices and like can use that word, or is this problematic? I don't think the author is at all disabled, so it just rubs me the wrong way. She also just talks about her life and her disability as if it's this huge hindrance to her. Her mom was talking about finding a place to put her catheters in the bathroom, and she was like, ugh, my freakish routine I have to do, and she was like using really harmful words to describe the living conditions that she has that is normal for a lot of people with spinal cord injuries. So it feels like this book was written by an able-bodied person for able-bodied people. Also, the guy has a girlfriend, and she's written to be this stereotype of a girl that you're not supposed to like. She's so materialistic and she hates everyone and she's such a bitch. There's a cheating trope being set up, and I'm not happy about it. It's so messy so far. So we're not off to a great start, but I'm really disappointed that Tamara Weber loved this book because I'm like, honey, yours is top tier and you're recommending something down here? Now I'm concerned that Easy isn't as good as I remember it to be, but who cares? So I finished a book last night. I want to talk about it before I go to work. So I ended up finishing that new adult book that I was in the middle of. And I already explained a lot of the issues I had with it, like the ableism. There's no author note saying if Serena is own voices or if she has anyone close to her that's disabled, so I wasn't able to decipher if this was at all from a place of personal experience. So I stick by my claim that this book just really did nothing for the disabled community other than using a girl in a wheelchair as a plot device. Also, I just grew increasingly frustrated with the way that this guy's girlfriend is portrayed. Aside from the cheating trope, there's just such a dynamic of sporty girl versus popular girl setup. This girlfriend he has like loves makeup and shopping and going to Paris, and they all like shame her for liking girly stuff, and the guy's like, oh, I want a girl who loves to go watch games. A lot of girls like makeup and sports, but that's apparently too much thinking for people to do, so ignore that. And these two girls being pitched against one another was throughout the entire book. One example I can think of is the guy always referred to his girlfriend as Hottie. He'd go, hey Hottie, and then as soon as he would talk to the main character, he would call her beautiful, so it was like this hottie beautiful vibe. And you could just tell they were trying to tear down the girlfriend to make the main character seem better, and it was just so frustrating because it's like, don't claim to be a feminist novel while also giving the impression that girls who wear makeup and girls who like shopping aren't as good as girls who like sports. Not to ruin your fun or anything, but I'm currently putting on makeup. So what kind of message does that give to me? Also, the fact that the guy was cheating on his girlfriend every time that he and the girl would get together was never discussed. It was kind of considered with the air of, oh, I shouldn't be in love with him, this is sad. She never showed like remorse for having made out with someone else's boyfriend, which I think is really messed up. Like, even the guy didn't think about it, even the girl's friend didn't point it out, and that's concerning to me because it's a really big deal. The redeeming quality of this book is why I assumed it was recommended to me in the first place. The sex scenes are so well done. If this were a better book, it'd probably be like a 4-star romance instead of a 3-star romance, because there's so much consent, making sure each other are on the same page. That's like the only good thing about this book, because everything else is messy. Aside from things being problematic, it's just cheesy and cliche. Even though it was a healthy romance, I just can't recommend it on the fact that it was so messy. So I gave this book 2 stars. I picked up an audiobook yesterday that I'm making my way through today, How to Be a Boss by Lilly Singh. And this book is like an informative thing about how to live your best life and how to conquer all your goals and dreams. It's not something I'm gonna be like, this changed my life. I really don't think it caters to people with anxiety, because it's one of those mindsets where it's like, just try and do your best. Her advice is a little bit fanciful, and I think a lot of it is just an excuse to tell a story about her life. I'm not mad about it. I like how happy she is. She reads her audiobook, so it's a pretty good time. Okay, that's my reading update. I'm gonna go do my eyebrows. I am doing my eyebrows. What a day it has been today, my gals. It's Friday afternoon. I just got home from work and I had Panda Express and my stomach is yelling. Today I finished a book at work. I read How to Be a Boss by Lilly Singh, and I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't like life-altering advice. I think especially from someone so young who's had like pretty lucky fame getting popular on YouTube. Like, yeah, you work for it, but at the same time it's kind of a glamorous rags to riches story. So some of the advice fell flat for me. Nothing was really revolutionary. I don't think I read it for self-help as much as I read it just for her stories and for the fun of it, but I think this book was geared toward her younger fans, and I'm sure they all loved it. I keep going back and forth between DNFing the Goldfinch and not DNFing it. I don't know where I put it. But at work I started listening to the audiobook for it again because I caved, and honestly it got back to a point where I was interested in it and a new character came in that I was excited about, so I think I'm gonna stick with it. I don't think I'm gonna DNF it because now it's more interesting. Hi kiddos! The end of another vlog. Sorry this one was a lengthy one, but I did a little unhaul in the middle, which is unconventional. Today is Saturday evening and I wanted to wrap up this vlog with what I finished today. I ended up powering my way through the end of the Goldfinch, so it is finally done. This massive beast that I thought I would DNF, that I cut the clips out of the vlog of me complaining about how long it is, I did it. It's been so long since I even talked about it that I'm gonna tell the synopsis again. So it's about this boy named Theo Decker who, when he was 13 years old, was in a art museum with his mom when an explosion went off and killed his mother as well as a lot of other people visiting the museum. And this book follows the aftermath of that tragedy and the trajectory of his life, taking him to live with his dad in Las Vegas and the new friends he meets there, getting into drugs, having to deal with this painting that he had stolen from the museum the day that that explosion happened. It's not really plot driven, but it definitely spirals with how he feels and what he has to deal with in terms of mental trauma. I'm not gonna say this book was ever boring, like I was never reading it like, ugh, when's this gonna end? Because I really liked the characters and I liked Theo's inner monologue and I think it's really beautifully written, but my deal is I would read for a while and then I would put it down and I'd realize I only read like 10 pages of it and it took so long. So I finally just put on the audiobook at 2x speed. The audiobook was really done nicely. The middle lagged a lot, but then it got toward the end and I was like, oh wait, we're going back to characters that I know and love. If you can get through the middle section of it, it's really worth it for the ending, because the last half hour of the audiobook and the last couple chapters of it just was so brilliantly written, and it just wraps everything up in such a great moral. And I wish that moral was sprinkled more throughout the story rather than just dropped on you at the end, because it took a lot of emotional and physical labor for me to get to that. But I think that's probably the point. In the end, I understand why this won the Pulitzer Prize. Now I'm like, okay, I get it. But I still stand by my statement that this book could probably be 200 pages less if the middle was shaved down. So this was a book that was very far outside my comfort zone and I almost gave up, but I'm so glad I stuck with it because the ending was very powerful. I'm gonna give this 3.5 stars. I started a couple new things, but I'm not gonna introduce them until my next vlog because I'm barely into any of them until that hits next week. Thanks everyone so much for watching. I don't know why I'm doing an outro. Just cut to ukulele. Maybe it's enough to just be where we are, because every time that we run, we don't know what it's from. Now we finally slow down, we feel close to it.